Hey there, Atlanta. I'm your sports reporter, Michael Moore, and this is Sports with ATL in 60 Seconds, where no matter it's rain or shine, there's always going to be game time in ATL in 60 Seconds. And speaking of game time, we're here live at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, where your Atlanta Falcons are playing against the Carolina Panthers. And on the last game, the Falcons have played against the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, where they unfortunately fell a little bit short. This time around, we're going to hope that we get a lot more out of Matt Ryan and Julio Jones, as they tend to get the offense back on track to defeat the Carolina Panthers. How are they going to stop our hometown hero Cam Newton that was born here in Atlanta? Well, we're going to have to find out soon on ATL in 60 Seconds. Hey there, Atlanta. This is Michael Moore, your official sports reporter for ATL in 60 Seconds. And this is another episode of ATL Sports Showdown, where we show all of the favorite showdowns from your Atlanta sports teams that face off against all of their rivals and any other opponents that they might have. This week, it was the Atlanta Falcons versus the Carolina Panthers, one of the very key examples of a real showdown going on. Now, from last week, we remember that the Falcons had a little bit of trouble versus the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, where they really couldn't put up that many points on the board. They had only 12 points in their 18-12 loss. This week, though, we were trying to see a different story from the Atlanta Falcons. Had a victory of 31-24. It was quite a battle. Now, starting out in the game, the Atlanta Falcons could only really put up a field goal. It started out with the Carolina Panthers having a field goal of their own in the 11th minute during the game. The Atlanta Falcons another field goal of their own before expiring in the first half. Now, what really started getting interesting is when the Carolina Panthers had their first touchdown of the game, with Jarius Wright getting a touchdown from Cam Newton on a 5-yard pass there. The Falcons, though, were finally able to answer on their own with who else? Calvin Ridley, of all people. Calvin Ridley finally getting a touchdown pass, his first touchdown pass, not only of the season, but the first touchdown pass of his career, being a rookie for the Atlanta Falcons, as Matt Ryan threw an 11-yard touchdown pass to Calvin Ridley. It was an exciting play to see. Also, the Falcons were able to get an even bigger lead, going up 17-10, with Austin Hooper catching a pass from Matt Ryan. Austin Hooper, one of those really key tight ends that the Falcons really needed to step up, finally stepped up with Matt Ryan throwing an 8-yard pass to him in order to get the lead there. Now, getting one of the passes that really started to get a little bit of trouble for Atlanta was an interception thrown by Matt Ryan. It was intercepted by Jackson from Carolina at the Carolina 2 when it was a deep pass to Julio Jones. Got a lot of people worried, but the Falcons were able to defend really well, get the ball back, and here came one of the exciting parts of the game. Matt Ryan starting to get some scores on his own. On a QB sneak on the 1-yard line, he was able to score there, putting up 24-10. But here come the Carolina Panthers trying to answer back. However, defense once again holding them up. But this is one of the coolest parts of the game. The best part of the game was Matt Ryan running on his own, looking like Cam Newton on an 8-yard run to run in for a touchdown. And it was almost stopped at the goal line, but was just able to spin his way in. And he was able to get his team on top 31-17. Now, Carolina would definitely try to roar back as time was expiring. Cam Newton threw a short pass down the middle for C.J. Anderson that was also intercepted by Ricardo Allen. That was a huge play. They were able to get another score in, though, with DJ Moore. He was getting a pass from Cam Newton from 51 yards. That was a deep play from Cam Newton, and he was able to get it up 31-24. Falcons went 3-and-out their next possession. So it was up to the Falcons' defense to keep Carolina from scoring on the last play. And from nearly the 50-yard line, Cam Newton had to throw a pretty big pass to try to end the game there. But thankfully, the Falcon defenders were able to knock it down, and the game was over. So it was a 31-24 victory for your Atlanta Falcons. I have to say I'm really impressed with what I saw, especially from how things were the last game, where they really weren't able to put that many points on the board. This time they were able to do it. So good job by our Falcons to finally be able to get some points on there, 31-24. Now let's look at the stats real quick. Matt Ryan was 23 of 28. He had 272 yards. Cam Newton, on the other hand, he had 335 yards, going 32 of 45. He actually did a really good job passing and staying patient. But here's where things really turned around, and here's our things that you wouldn't really expect from Matt Ryan and the Falcons. That is that Matt Ryan had 2 rushing touchdowns, and Cam Newton, 0. That is something that you do not expect in any matchup where Carolina is playing against their opponent. Matt Ryan just flat out rushing Cam Newton statistically. Maybe not in yards, because Cam Newton had 42 yards, Matt Ryan had 18. But Matt Ryan actually had 2 rushing touchdown attempts, while the defense was able to keep Cam Newton from doing too much damage with his legs, which is a huge win for the Atlanta Falcons in general. Another person that needs to be noticed, speaking of rushing attempts, is Tevin Coleman. Since Devontae Freeman was down during this game with a leg injury, Tevin Coleman had 16 carries for 107 yards. Didn't get to score on his own, but he was able to really help out his teammates, even in the passing game a little bit, getting 4 receptions. Another guy that stepped up, obviously, was Calvin Ridley. Both Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones had 64 yards each. They split up their yardage. Only Calvin Ridley was the one that got to go into the end zone this time. We really want to see Julio Jones try and get a turn of his own, but we'll know that time will come. But it was great to see Calvin Ridley finally get the first touchdown of the season. Now, defensively, we have a lot of great people going on there. We had, I believe it was Takk McKinley. Takk McKinley had his first couple of sacks going in, his first sack of the season versus Carolina, doing a great job there. And Brian Poole, he has 2 sacks already on the season. Brian Poole leading his team in sacks just as a cornerback, not even primarily as a pass rusher. Every time he's been going on a cornerback blitz, he's been able to bring down people, and that was one of the key plays to take down Cam Newton in the play. So great job by Brian Poole. And overall, a great defensive effort from the Falcons once again overall, just because you're also missing 2 of your defensive starters and Keanu Neal, and you also were missing, of course, Devontae Freeman, along with Deion Jones, who was the second defender that was missing, who is right in the middle of their defense, who is usually used to calling plays. So a fantastic overall job from the defense, fantastic job from Ricardo Allen to get an interception. And now we're going to be looking into the next game where they're going to have to play the New Orleans Saints. Are we going to get that same kind of production from the offense, and can their defense keep up, especially with DeMonte KZ, who actually ended up getting ejected from the game during Carolina's visit with the Falcons, where he unfortunately hit Cam Newton head-to-head, and he ended up getting flagged and tossed from the game. Now, it's a bit debatable on whether he deserved to get tossed. According to the new rules, it was accurate. Hopefully, he'll be able to help out the Falcons during his visit with the New Orleans Saints. So we'll be seeing Drew Brees coming into town in Atlanta. Will Atlanta be able to keep up the momentum? We'll have to see next time on ATL in 60 seconds. Now, make sure that you follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and our Facebook page. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel and like as many of our videos as possible. I want to know what you think, Atlanta. What do you think about your Falcons' victory against the Carolina Panthers? And what do you think about their possibility of getting another victory against the New Orleans Saints next week? Definitely reply to any of our content that we have going on. And remember to stay tuned in to ATL in 60 seconds. Speak up, Atlanta.